and it's always great to be joined by Congressman Debbie Lesko from the great state of Arizona. Congressman Lesko, thank you so much for joining me on the Todd Starnes Show. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tim. I hope you and the listeners are doing well, too.
Well, thank you. The passive-aggressive part of me gets a kick out of what Ron DeSantis and what Governor Greg Abbott are doing in Florida and Texas, respectively. But I think they know, and of course you know, at ground level, that is just a minuscule amount of what is coming over the border in what is a full-blown crisis. How are things looking at ground level in Arizona?
Well, it's a disaster. I mean, Biden has created an open border policy, Biden and all of the Democrats. He appointed Kamala Harris as his border czar. Well, she's been down there once for a photo op. President Biden has never been down to the southern border, and that shows his priorities, right? And when you have illegal immigrants themselves telling on news media station interviews that there's an open border and that Biden is welcoming them, and that's the reason that they came, there's a problem. I took a group of Congress members down to the border recently, and we saw things firsthand, and it's totally open border. The Customs and Border Patrol officers, each one of them, every one of them, told me that this is the worst crisis that they have ever seen in their career, and many of them had worked there over 20 years.
And that is saying something, because the Border Patrol, they work hard. We know that they're over taxed with their duties. The fact that they probably have so much paperwork as well means that they're off the job and underappreciated there in the state of Arizona. In fact, Congressman Lesko, I want to play this clip. You referenced the illegal immigrant that was out in front of Vice President Kamala Harris's home and what she had to say on Fox, or what he had to say on Fox News after pulling up and getting dropped off in front of the Vice President's home. Cut 3.
Vice President Harris said that the border is closed. Is the border closed? Do you believe that the border is closed, or is it open?
It's open, not closed. The border is open.
The border is open. Do you believe that all the migrants believe that the border is open?
Yeah, everybody believes that the border is open. It's open because we enter, we come in, free, no problem.
But it's open for you to come illegally, right?
Illegally, yes, illegally, that's true.
And you came illegally?
Yeah, we came illegally, not legal.
And Congressman Lesko, I don't think she's the only one that has that attitude. I think the entire Biden administration feels like we're the only country in the world that shouldn't have borders.
Well, yeah. I mean, I work with the Democrats each and every day in the U.S. Capitol, and I can tell you that the vast majority of them introduce legislation, vote against legislation, and both ways, and they want open borders. Now, I can only guess why they want open borders, but all their policies show that. It's not what they say, it's what they do. So President Biden, on day one that he got into office, he stopped construction of the border fence. So I brought these Congress members down to the southern border in Arizona, and they witnessed firsthand the openings in the border fence. They saw them from the ground, and then they went up on a Black Hawk helicopter and saw them from the air. And while we were on the Black Hawk helicopter, we saw 5 illegal immigrants crossing the Arizona border from Mexico, waving their hands, waving us down. They wanted to turn themselves into Border Patrol to claim asylum. And this is what's happening. Thousands of people each and every day. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey also busts illegal immigrants up to Washington, D.C. And so I'm glad that the Texas, Florida, Arizona governors are busing these people up there. And when there's only like 100 or a couple thousand and they're freaking out up in the north, and when the D.C. mayor calls on the federal government saying, oh, my gosh, this is an emergency, when a few hundred people show up, give me a break. We've been dealing with this each and every day. There's thousands that cross our border each day in Arizona. And Arizona citizens have had to, help fund them. Taxpayers from all over the country are funding these illegals being shipped by the Biden administration across the country. President Biden just recently made it official that he's against the Remain in Mexico policy. And I talked to the Border Patrol officers when we were down there, and I said, if there was one thing that you could do, that Biden could do, what would it be? And it's reinstall the Remain in Mexico policy, because Trump was brilliant when he did that, because that means when the illegal immigrants come, that, yeah, they can claim asylum, but while their asylum claim is being processed in the courts, they have to wait in either Mexico or another safe third world country. Well, automatically, they didn't come because they knew they didn't have the free ticket into the United States, because now they know all they have to do, cross the border, claim asylum. They have a free ticket into the United States. 5 years from now or years from now, they show up to an immigration court hearing. Most of them don't show up, and they're already in the United States. It's such a scam that the Biden administration wants. I know that they want open borders.
And Mexico was totally fine with Remain in Mexico, weren't they, Congressman? Because they knew if that was in effect, that people weren't going to come through their neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, Trump negotiated with them, and Biden could do the same. But it's just clear that Biden and the Democrats want open borders. My guess is that the reason for it, first and foremost, is that 3.2 million illegal immigrants that we know of have been apprehended since Biden has been in office. Then there's another about 1 million at least that got away, that we estimate got away, right? So that's over 4 million people. Well, when you get all of these people coming into the United States, that gives more congressional seats. Each congressional person gets 765,000 people. And then if you have these Democrat states and cities that have sanctuary cities, it's natural that the illegal immigrants would go to these cities that won't prosecute them or do anything to them. And you get more congressional seats in Democrat areas. I think that's the first step. And when they get enough congressional members, the Democrats, then they'll change the Constitution and allow people to vote. Illegals to vote. That's what I think their end game is.
And sadly, us citizens are just simply in their way. Congressman Debbie Lesko, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for fighting the good fight, and thank you for carving out for a few minutes for the audience here on the Todd Starnes Show. We always appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much, Tim.
All right, there.